honorable mention.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our next podcast, which is the Survivor Era 2 Top 10 Players podcast. Joining me for this one is Season 2 winner Siren and Season 9 runner up Angie. How are you both doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I have to think about
Chilling.
season 8. This is torture, I tell you. I have to think about season 8. That's the only reason I'm here. It's because I'm the season 8 expert.
So we had 5 seasons of Era 2 that we had. We had Season 8 through Season 12, and now that Era 2 is over and we're going into Era 3 today, it's time to look over who we believe to be the top 10 players of Era 2. Now, we all know what the list is, but I do think that there are some honorable mentions we should talk about. So if you guys have anyone you think that should get a mention for not making the cut.
Uh, I feel like there's one that I just want to get out of the bat. It does kind of ruin the surprise of the top 10, but Allie is sadly not on this list. Uh, it's not because they did anything wrong. It's more so, it's very difficult to ever see them having a chance of winning at that FTC.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's just a bad scenario overall. I think the other honorable mention I think we have to do is Corny.
Mm.
Yeah.
Uh, I more so say Corny because Corny is like the golden child of season 10 and almost saved us. So we're giving you it just for that. If it wasn't for season 8, Corny would actually probably be number 10 on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Season 8,
Yeah.
probably.
It was a shame that he got rocked out, but I think he played a really good social game and he played a really good
season
strategical
8
game as well. Yeah.
Season 8 is
Lo-
the reason why a lot of people's rankings on this list are bad. So when that is needed, I will talk about it.
I think those are two
Let's
good honorable mentions. Two I also want to shout out are Josh. I think Josh played great in season 10. He was just unfortunately on the ropes for like the entire Heroes versus Villains season before getting voted out at the final 14. And then finally, which is a bit biased for me, but I kind of have to mention him just because I'm a kind of a simp for his game. Alan from Civ season 9.
I
Uh,
was also going
he
to mention
was
Alan because he was, yeah,
yeah.
a very good twist
Yeah.
mastermind in season
Uh,
9. And he
speaking
had
of
everyone in
yeah.
his favor for a bit
yeah.
until Final 9, where his like really crazy tribal happened.
Speaking of season 9, there's actually one more player. I don't know if I'm doing this more because I just have respect for them. I don't know, like I feel like that I maybe would have argued for this player to be number 10 on this list. I don't think they get it, but I still feel like we have to talk about Detective Froggo. One of the most, I guess, interesting characters of the Survivor HVV and Season 9. It's just kind of a little bit
Yeah.
outshined compared to others, but Froggo always gives it their best.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
All right, so with that out of the way, it's time to get to number 10, which I think is going to shock a lot of people. But for us, number 10 is Toast, who played Survivor The Evil Within, got ninth place after getting soul voted out by Bluey after playing his idol for Lucy. Toast played a pretty good social game in Civ Season 11. He had a lot of friends going on, both in the pre-merge and swap portions of the game. And as well as having an idol in his pocket, he could have done. I think a lot of this segment has a lot to do with how Toast potential could have been, if not for the wonkiness that was Final 9. And a lot of people kind of think that it's Toast's fault that Toast played the idol on Bluey, and not on Bluey, but on Lucy. And while that is a fair argument, I do think that the fault is more on Lucy's than anything. And I think Toast got just caught in the crosshairs.
it's and I state this this is my statement. I'm not on Civ's side on this. I do think that it's Toast's fault the most. However, I also think that we cannot ignore the fact that Lucy has an idol in their pocket and goes, nah, I'm gonna screw Toast for a second. My only ally left in this game. Let's go do that. It's
Well, I think Lucy was
That was a bad.
offline was the problem.
Yeah, that was the problem. And he couldn't like pre-play or anything on
not
himself.
like even beforehand. They were never planning to play it. I remember this. They were never planning to play it, and they
Oh,
wanted
okay.
Toast to play it the
No
moment they
way.
found it. They were just like, no, no, no. Toast has got to play it on me because I got to be greedy. And like, so it's one of those moments where it's like Toast probably shouldn't have played it on Lucy, but Lucy also should have just manned up and played the idol themselves because at like all you do is lose Toast like immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
it's weird to say that having a double idol play happen was like the best case scenario for Toast, but it probably was.
Also,
Even then,
can we just point out that this has been the second time in Survivor that the second merge tribal has had two idols played and a player's soul voted out?
well, that is actually true, and I feel like another thing we have to state is I don't think Toast goes home if they don't help Lucy. Like if Lucy plays the idol on themselves, they don't even need to play their idol, if I'm correct.
No, I think you're right. Vote theoretically, if Toast didn't play the idol ever, I think the vote likely would have gone on either
Well,
Martell
actually,
or
the problem is that Bluey has his extra vote in. So the
yeah,
question is if he doesn't play it, if Lucy plays it on themselves, I guess it's like a 50-50 if Toast plays it or not. And I don't think it's right to argue whether or not Toast does, but it's just a bad scenario, especially since the Bluey vote led to a very long production discussion because it was after the idol, but you know,
yeah.
Hmm.
I think we
But
changed the rules on that. I don't think anything
yeah, we
changes.
did.
I don't think anything
Yeah,
changes in that specific scenario, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place. It's kind of like a dick punch.
I think the only thing that might have changed is that Bluey might stay in the game a bit longer if that didn't happen.
Which,
But other than that,
honestly,
I think
I think Toast still goes home, but in a more honorable fashion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I
All
feel like
right,
that's all we
so
have to say. Toast was a good
yeah,
player that just had a mess up.
yeah, I'd agree with
Yeah, good
that.
player,
All right,
unfortunate
yeah.
circumstance.
All right, so we'll hop on our next player, which is Quinn, the winner of Survivor Breaking Bad, but we're obviously not going to take that into account. Instead, we have her game in Survivor Heroes versus Villains, where she had a pretty solid strategic game in season 12 before getting idled out by Moon and Evan at the final six. Siren, you saw a lot of Quinn's game firsthand, so why don't you take the reins on this one?
Uh, I feel like the best way to describe Quinn's game, and I feel like this is a good way to sum up a lot of HVV, since before we actually do the Era 2 podcast, HVV is kind of the definition of who did you swap with? If you didn't swap with someone, you don't really trust them that much. And I feel like that Quinn is the perfect definition of they held their cards too close to their chest to some people and were too open to other people. And I feel like they just made themselves a target by trusting the wrong people. But they also did a really good job of correcting that. And
Yeah.
I think without the idol play, there's a good that Quinn can win the season because
I'd say it's yeah.
there's a good chance. There's a good chance. I I feel like the best way to describe Quinn is they were very good strategically and they were good socially with specific people, but not the right people.
Right. I think Quinn's best chance at the win was probably against you in fantasy, I believe,
I mean,
because
to
I
be,
think everyone was.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
to be
jury
fair, I
kind of
think
didn't appreciate
everyone's
you
be-
three.
I think everyone's best chance was with me in fantasy.
Yeah, it's also
I,
true.
Yeah.
I will take. I think the only person in the final six that the only FTC that I could have personally won, or fantasy could have personally won, was against Max. And that is only because of things that we know after the fact,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
I don't think is
I
fair to hold. Season 12
yeah,
is
for
just
sure.
weird. Season 12 is just weird. It has a weird early merge. It's a very long season. It's a definition of a marathon. And I think we had to have a season like that because it's cool to see what would happen. But with our upcoming, I don't know when this video will come out, but with our upcoming season, it's going to be a lot more fast paced, thank God.
And here we got DB here.
Well,
Hello.
who was also snubbed from the list because of season 8, probably. Well, we have to this video. That's why I'm here, sadly.
We're
Yeah,
on Quinn, yeah.
We're on Quinn.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for Quinn,
That's
like
kind of
she
how
had
a
like
lot of
really
the.
good. Sorry,
You go.
okay,
You
so
go.
I think with Quinn, like she had like really good reads on the competition. Like she knew that Evan was like the biggest threat and within like that like the competition over like other people. And she knew like I think she saw Moon's endgame really well. I think she had a really solid position come swap. So yeah, and she made like good connections with like Moon and Lily, and then she made pretty good connections at the merge as well. So yeah, I think that's where her social game, like she has good social game, good social reads. I think that's my like 2 cents on Quinn.
You know,
Yeah, I think if
I don't.
Quinn plays up her FTC speech good enough, I think she definitely comes out with a win. I think a lot of her six problems, which to be fair is kind of limited, did kind of come into pass a lot more abrasively this season because she was a
Mhm.
pretty, I won't say like rude person, but she was definitely sometimes hard to work with to some people, which is why they flipped on her. Because a lot of people who wanted to work with Quinn flipped on her. You had Noisy, you
Yeah,
had Max, you had Peppers. A lot of those people wanted to work with Quinn initially, but they kind of
I
stopped after seeing how hard Quinn was playing.
I do have to state one thing, and I think this is partially the truth. I don't know if it's fully the truth. I wish Quinn never told Lily about those necklaces. That is my legitimate statement. If we kept those necklaces hidden, I feel like although the heat would have definitely came after us, it would have came a little later.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. I think I get what you're
it's
saying.
like it sucks because like me and Quinn, we were in like a good middle position, I would say. The villains were starting to catch on, and the heroes were as well. But they didn't have a reason to do anything about it until they got panicked because they're like, what did they get from the trip? And then Quinn told Lily, and the whole drama from that happened, which I feel like is part of the reason why Quinn and me were in an underdog position. Like, if
Right.
we were gonna tell should have told more people. If I knew Lily was going to be told, I would have told like all the villains and all the heroes. I'd have just been honest. But
Right. But yeah, I think that's all we have on Quinn's game. Are we ready to go to number 8 on this list?
oh boy, it's my turn to talk Meredith time.
We have Meredith from Survivor Season 8 and Survivor Season 9. Two very complicated wins, not wins, but two very complicated games in the history of Survivor. Her first you had her first game at Season 8 where she got idled out, even though another player quit right after. And then you have her Season 9 game where she was in a very solid position until everyone figured out she was in that position, and everyone just gunned for everyone around her until she was the only person left.
This is a bit of a difficult one for me. I'm not gonna go in terms of the season 9 gameplay because I think the season 9 gameplay is as there's not really any like big cracks.
Right.
They had power, they made friends, they maybe cut off a couple of bonds a little bit too quickly, which left them isolated. But like other than that,
Yeah.
pretty fun. Now season 8, as the season 8 expert, I will state this. If Meredith made it to the merge, I think that they could have genuinely won the season.
You think so?
The thing about Meredith's game is it doesn't even feel like they got eliminated fairly in season 8 at all. It doesn't. It doesn't feel like an elimination. Because Meredith has an alliance, they have majority, and then, JJ is like done with the game but doesn't walk until after the votes are read. And like any other scenario, JJ walks beforehand and Meredith is still in the game. It's like Meredith really didn't do anything wrong other than getting unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe I don't even think they were the biggest threat when they got idled out of their alliance. They weren't even the biggest threat. So like I can't explain what happened.
Should have been Warks getting idled out.
It's
I
okay, you
know
got 19 votes for.
I know you guys are like joking about this, but like I actually agree.
Right, true.
Like strategical
Mm.
standpoint, it's definitely true. Works had more connections than Meredith. But yeah. A good player with just a bad season 8 performance, but it's not their fault.
You saw a lot of Meredith's Season 9 game. How do you think she did?
I don't know if you're gonna agree with me on this, Civ. I think Meredith should have kept me around for one more round. That's my only critique.
I think, yeah, with you gone, like she kind of just like lost everyone around her, even though she was like kind of close to Evan. Evan just like kind of latched
Yeah,
on to like
like
me and Morgan, and that's
should
why
have
like 3, 2, 1 happened. And she
like
thought like she was led with Connor and Morgan as well, but like Connor was also playing sides.
because like the thing is like for some reason, and I don't get this. Season 9 is like my best social game. I think season 2 is, but season 9 is the one where the jury liked me the most.
Hmm.
I feel like although I was the biggest threat left in terms of FTC win equity, how the hell was I ever gonna get there?
Unless you like comp out, I
Like,
Yeah,
guess. Which I guess Meredith might have
I think if you won
thought out.
Final Seven, it'd probably be me gone or Steven. But
well, no, like the thing is, and like I state this is like, I feel like all Meredith had to do was warn me, and then I play my idol, and Meredith probably can win the. Now I win Final Six immunity. I'm just gonna state that now, because it's Hangman. So there is some merit of getting rid of me. I'm there at Final Five, annoying y'all. But yeah, that's really it. I think Meredith is a good social player, a good strategic player, Now I know Civ is probably going to also respond with they're a little bit boring to watch, but I feel like that's just because they're so
Yeah.
calculated.
Yeah, I think I'd put Meredith's strategic game over her social game though. I think she's
Yeah,
played a really good under the radar
Yeah, I
game from
agree.
what I see. And that's why I wanted to vote her out at 5.
Yeah,
all
and that
Meredith
did
had to
happen. So
Yeah, it was a full one.
who is number 7?
number 7, we have our first of 4 Survivor winners we have to talk about on this list. Well, first of 4 Era 2 winners, I should say. Uh, our first one is Breeze, the winner of Survivor Your Turn to Die. Uh, they came into FTC and won a 5-3 vote against Lily and Moon, and I think Breeze played pretty solid here. I know a lot of people have agreed that Breeze is kind of like the line between where you have a strong winning game or a weak winning game, and Breeze is kind of in the middle. But I do think Breeze played good overall. Uh, I think the main thing that there is to talk about is how much Breeze won at the pre-merge and how little Breeze went to tribal, which is kind of a double-edged sword, but I think it helped Breeze more because they gained a lot more allies and a lot more social connections, and there was just a lot more to go on for Breeze's game than most others at that point because you had a lot of people were pissed at each other going into season 8 merge, and then you have Breeze who kind of just didn't piss anybody off.
I'll let you guys speak before I speak because I have the most prepared on this one.
That's fair. Angie, what's your
Peak
take on
because
it?
yeah, I think like near middle and merge, I think I did see Breeze as like the winner. You know, didn't she like idle out? Didn't she idle Lion? And that wasn't like that great. Or
Yeah.
but I think yeah, but I think I did see like jury point of view, and I did see like people like wanting to vote Breeze to win over Lily and Moon. But yeah, that was just from my limited perspective as a spec. So yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of how I saw Breeze's game as well.
This is an interesting one for me to talk about because, and this is just my personal opinion, I think I think that Breeze is a good player, don't get me wrong. But I feel like Breeze kinda got lucky at the end of the game. I feel like with Breeze, he has a he is probably the luckiest winner out of all the winners in terms of the good winners.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was gonna say someone else, but
Because for me, there's there's two moments in the game. I'm not going to talk about Trap's Walk, obviously. I feel like that's the first out of the three lucky moments of Breeze's game. But there's two other moments, which is Gia eliminating themselves, which ruins Alien, which is the one person that was gonna stop Breeze. And then, of course, the legendary Final Five tribal moment. Because I feel like if Lily wins immunity at Final Four, Breeze just goes home,
Mhm.
and Breeze loses the game. And although I understand why Breeze wins the game, and I do think that he is the better player than Lily, I think I do have to acknowledge the fact that Breeze kind of dropped the ball.
Yeah.
If it isn't for Final Five, I honestly would have considered Breeze an A plus player. It's Final Five that ruins it. Like Breeze would be way higher on this list in my opinion. And that just kind of shows why Lily and another player did well in season 8, which we'll talk about them later.
Yeah.
But uh Breeze got the job done, and I will applaud them for that. They were definitely the best of season 8. It's a title.
That's not, that's not a high bar, but
It
go
It's
off.
a
yeah, it's still a
it's a
title,
title.
I guess.
But yeah, I think that's all we have on Breeze, unless anyone else has anything to say.
I feel like that's it.
I think that's it
Alright.
too.
So now we go on to our second sole HVV player, which is Peppers. Peppers played a pretty solid social and social game. I think Peppers did a pretty good under the radar game, and this is like the third A tier game Peppers has given us. So Peppers has been a pretty consistent player all around. Although I do want to say that as good as Peppers' game is this season, and I'm sure Siren will agree with me, Angie, I'm not sure what your take is, but I do think out of Peppers' 3 games that this is Peppers' weakest game. Uh,
I was gonna say, yeah, this is probably
Agreed.
his weakest one due to like
I
his
have
like
some stuff.
sheer inactivity.
I don't think it's
yeah.
just activity, honestly.
Yeah,
But I'll
I think
I'll let you guys speak. I feel like that I'm one of the only players that has a, and I say this in the nicest way, a bad like I saw like pretty much a lot of the bad things about Peppers and HGV. I don't know if Sid will agree with that or not, but
You might have.
maybe.
I- I'll explain why in a moment.
Yeah.
'Cause
More on Pepper's game. Pepper's played pretty solid in pre-merge. He was pretty much the power structure of the Heroes tribe, along with Angie and Akio. Uh, when he got on swap, he was in a bit of a sour position, being on the bottom with DB, but luckily got out of that position at merge. Managed to link back up with Pepper with not Pep, with Evan and Moon, and he managed to run that gauntlet all the way to the final 7 before getting idled out by Quinn and Siren. Uh, I think Peppers did a pretty good job at helping Evan and Moon control the game, but I do see Peppers as kind of the third wheel to that duo a little bit. But I do think
Yeah.
Peppers still had very solid control over the game.
I do think that like Peppers is a good player in HGV, but the one thing for me, and like I say this is someone that was close with all three of like that power structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Peppers was the most obviously against me and constantly made me angry at them. Like uh the George idol out, blindsiding me at the penalty tribal, just like for me, and I say this, I like Peppers as a person, and I understand that I'm throwing bricks at a stone house because my social game also sucks in HVV. But for me, like I just genuinely did not have a connection with Peppers, who is one of the social gods of Survivor. So I don't know what happened.
Right.
Like,
I think I'm gonna get to that idol later, but yeah,
like,
I think with Peppers, yeah, he
eh,
had like a pretty like solid like position in the Heroes tribe from when I was there because but even though his like name was thrown out, but like I don't think anyone was really that inclined to vote him over Groot at that tribal. And then yeah, well he was like middle and then he went to bottom with DB at that DB route. And then, yeah, he allied with a lot of his like heroes, with Evan and Moon, and he also allied with like Fantasy and Lily, I believe,
Yeah.
with that one alliance. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think most of his alliances were like pretty hero based, from what I remember. But yeah, he had good social game. But not the best social game, but like pretty solid one.
Right.
I think I will forever state, which I know Civ is about to say. Peppers would have not gone at Final 7 if Evan didn't win immunity.
Yeah, it might be the case.
No, it is the case.
Because
Because
you guys had the idol as well.
yeah, I'm the person with the idol. I would have.
The Peppers route did shock me. I won't lie.
The Peppers boot is literally just you're the second best option.
Yeah,
It had to be Evan or Peppers. Evan just won immunity.
because like I think Evan and Peppers just made themselves into like an obvious duo, so it had to be one or the other.
It wasn't even really that. It was the fact that they were the two most against me, and I state this, it was the penalty tribal coming back around like a raging tornado. That's the reason I chose Peppers over Moon, is because like at least Moon is honest to me when they're screwing me. You stabbed me in
Yeah,
the back for no reason.
yeah. I think Moon was really close with you and Quinn
Yeah.
over the other two.
Well,
BB, we're on the Peppers segment right now.
yeah. I feel like the best way to describe Peppers is in a cast of superstars and Goliaths of Survivor. They did all right. Because like
Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the problems with Era 2, and I say this politely, and I also say this because it is kind of the truth. Their players have super amazing games that would have made this list if not for another season.
Right.
I think I think Trap would be on this list if it isn't for season 8. I think Trap would be here. Uh, I think you could have argued Connor to be in here if it wasn't for HVV. Connor was like the only player to get close to the 3 finale mark.
I gotta check Connor's placement average now.
It's literally like his placement average is literally like 3.
His
It's
placement average
3,
is 10.5.
and that's only because of HVV. He'd be way
That's
higher if
worse
not
than
for.
mine.
Yeah. But I do have a question to ask Siren, since you were a very late juror. Out of the, if you, let's say you got, hypothetically, let's say you got eliminated at Final 7, do you think there's any scenario you'd vote for Peppers in, not counting Max being AFK for most of FTC?
I think the only people that Peppers can be on the cast are Fantasy. That's it. I'm being 100% real. Because I just. They're the third wheel. That's the best way to describe it. It's like, you have to get rid of Evan and Moon for me to look at you. But then you have to get rid of Quinn as well, because they're the big underdog, and if you don't get rid of them, you also failed your job. So you have to get rid of them back to back, and then you're in final 3 of Fantasy and Max. That's the only way Peppers would ever get my vote. Not regarding FTC performances, because Peppers is an amazing FTC player.
Yeah,
But
that's also something to take into account.
I just feel like Peppers has really good plays in HVV, and then really bad play, from my point of view. It's like
Yeah.
they found ways to get control of the game, and then they kept making it too obvious that they were.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid assessment of that. I do think Peppers. There are a few flaws I see in Peppers' game, but overall, I think Peppers played pretty well.
Yeah, like
Definitely,
Yeah.
I definitely don't see him winning like a Moon Evan FTC, but I
I
think he
think
did pretty good.
I think Peppers maybe could have beaten Quinn. It would be a battle. I will state this. I think it would be a battle. Considering how the jury felt about Quinn.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how Quinn does FTC.
Yeah. Her approach to it.
I do feel like, and I speak of this as a member of the season 12 jury, we suck at giving people chances. Okay? Raise our hands. I feel like the majority of us sucked as jurors. Okay? We raise our hands. I feel like we jump to assumptions too much and never like actually considered that maybe they were doing this weird move and it was actually good and stuff like that.
Well, I think that's all we have on Pepper's game.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of season 12 jury, how about we get to number 5 on this list, which is The Moon, the winner of Survivor Heroes versus Villains, won by a 7-5 vote, pretty close vote. I think Moon played really well. Obviously, there's a bit of controversy to her win, but I think controversy or not, her win's pretty great. I think she's a top 4 winner of Survivor. She played really well. Honestly, shocked how well her endgame is. She has the probably the best endgame out of any Survivor player ever.
Did
Considering she was never going to get voted for, despite likely being like the top 1 or top 2 most likely to win the season. So I think Moon did pretty good. Obviously, there's not a lot of huge standout moments that Moon has, which is why she's not in the top 4 or top 3 like our other 4 players are. But I still think Moon played really great regardless. What's
well
your
that's
guys'
not
take on Moon games?
Moon is not in the top 4 for another reason. It's not that reason. Uh,
Oh, that too.
Oh
there's
yeah. Yours
other
tend to die.
let's get let, let's get it out of the way. Let's talk about season 8 first. I'll let DB go first because they were players, and then I'll go. But I think we just need to get it out of the way. Okay. Okay, DB.
All right.
Well, but no. For me, when it comes to season 8 Moon, they are the definition of they are trying, but it's still bad. Like the one saving grace of Moon season 8 is their partnership with Lily. That's their saving grace. Like uh I hate mentioning New Arrow seasons, but Moon in season 8 is Owen. Like straight up. Is it Owen? The guy that had the really good FTC speech but didn't have a game to vote for?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Owen.
Like, Moon is just Owen. They have good plays. It's just like it's not enough compared to the other two. And season 12 Moon, and I state this as a player in the game, I think Moon's best talent, which gave them the edge over Evan, is the fact that they were able to gain people's respect very well and very easily. I feel like with Moon, they are just really good with connecting with people, and that is their main talent in both seasons, season 8 and season 12. They make good connections, they get a good partner, and they stick with it, and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, they're an FTC god. I think they're the best FTC player. They overthrow Harrison and Peppers.
Yeah, Moon's really crazy at FTC speeches. And honestly, I've seen her in other orgs also with like really good FTC speeches, and theoretically she probably would have lost, but she managed to pull out and get a victory out of just because of her FTC alone, which sh I think a big one that I remember is in Tortellini Viber, which everyone should apply to. A great org.
Go play the Tortellini Viver. I approve.
But yeah,
Hey, I
Moon.
made finale twice and I lost both times.
Yeah, and Moon played a really good game, but she managed to get that FTC done really well, and I think that's a big thing that should be taken account for in a lot of the future Survivor seasons. Moon's not someone to scoff at anymore. She's a massive Survivor player now, and probably
Yeah.
Well,
like a top 10 overall player now, even with the season 8 game.
I I personally feel like, and this is just my opinion, I think that sometimes the best thing you can do in an org is to just make the best end game possible to the end and kill it at FTC, which is what Moon is good at. As long as Moon has a platform to stand on, Moon is going to kick your ass at FTC. You you know, that's yeah, I feel like Sev, I guess you have an ending statement.
Uh, Moon mooned all over the place and got the win in season 12.
Uh
Moon's all over the place.
I never thought that I would relinquish this title one day, but I think I'm gonna relinquish it. Real quick. I think Moon is. I don't know if Moon is the best. I think Moon is the best FTC person that made it to FTC twice in terms of FTC. I can give up the
Yeah,
title,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Do we
probably
do we think Moon has the biggest redemption of Survivor?
I think
I'm gonna. Oh,
maybe.
Between like Moon, Max from season 7, Breeze and Siren, does Moon have the biggest redemption?
can I say a hot take? Because I
What?
think what I'm
Sure.
gonna say is a hot take. I think it's a no because I don't think it's a redemption story because the qualities of a good player were already there. People just didn't pay attention to them.
Right.
Like
That's
in
fair.
my opinion, I think the greatest redemption story in Survivor is either me or Max. It's me or Max. I think it's Max because Max is the definition of I keep fucking up, and then the one time they don't fuck up, they win. And I think
Max in
that
season 6 and 5.
I will say that I don't even if I have a redemption story, I don't even think my redemption story is 1 to 2. It's 2 to 5. It's not 1 to 2. I don't see it as a redemption story because like everyone universally agreed that I got fucked. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
redemption has to be you didn't do your best and you need to kick it up. So maybe Moon is the best in that regard. I
Maybe.
don't know. I think
Yeah.
that I think that if we ever do a story video on winners, I think Moon would be the first one at this point. Although I think we've already
Probably.
done, but no,
Maybe.
we may have done another one. It's not been public yet. Don't kill us.
I need to check the logs. Alright. So now we go on to our top 4. These are all players who played pretty great games. Maybe some negative qualities there, but overall, their games are pretty spectacular. And our first one is a bit of a shock because of the season 12 game, but I think the their season 12 game is can kind of be abolished a little bit. We have George, winner of Survivor: The Evil Within, who won a 4-2 to 1 vote, beating out Martel and Allie, and becoming the first ever international winner of Survivor, which is a pretty big accomplishment in my opinion. Uh, you don't see much international winners in orgs anymore. So I think that was great to see George pull that off. Obviously, in season 12, there's a bit of a hiccup in his game. He had 2 strikes, but I think George played pretty solid in season 12 as well. Not as good as
Yeah.
season 11, but he played pretty good until he got idled out by Evan and Peppers.
I feel like the best way to define George is, and I say this in the nicest way possible, and Civ may disagree with me on this. I don't think George is a very, and I'm not saying he's a bad strategic player, but strategy is not George's like specialty. His specialty
No.
is social game all the fucking way.
Yeah, it's definitely social.
Like, and it's weird to talk about season 11 and give compliments to George, because although I do think George played amazing in season 11, season 11 is someone else's show, which we will get to them very shortly. It is not the George show, as much as we love George.
Yeah.
Like, George was the definition of a hyena winner. They smiled, they were social, and then they stole the game at the last second.
And I think a big thing about Georgia's season 11 game is that the alliance between Martel and Allie, that was like final 7, wasn't it? You know, you
Yeah,
had
it was.
I mean, I don't know if Martel could have really won, but Allie could have likely beaten both Morgan and Lucy in my opinion, but just because of George's like solid social connection with Allie, she decided to link up more so with George than Martel. I don't think Allie really cared about Martel that much, but she decided to link up with George and just take that to the end, which obviously wasn't good for her game, but it was amazing for George's game.
To be fair, Ali was the player that wanted to keep Max long as possible.
Yeah, that's true.
It was more so Ali was Max's number 1 and they were each other's number 1. And then George was like a distant number 2 that only got lucky because of Final 5.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's weird because, like, when you think about, like, number 4, you're like, what's the big move? I don't think there is a big move. Am I wrong?
I think the big move, which is going to sound so corny and you guys are going to hate me, but the big move was the friends he made along the way.
I mean, he's right.
God.
I wish he was wrong, but he's right. You son of a bitch. I mean, I think
Do you
that's
think
all we can
George
talk
would have
about.
been gone if, like, say Morgan or something won night moves, like the final 4 challenge, the final?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Which I
probably
don't
would
even
have.
want to think about an FTC like that.
I was
Actually, wait. Okay, I'm gonna make a counter argument. I don't think we can consider that because George literally got Ali and Martel to rig it with him to get Morgan out.
That
So honestly,
too.
that is George's big move, is making Morgan
think-
lose the final.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
George was never on the bottom. Morgan was.
Yeah.
Didn't
Which
win
I
the
state
reward.
till the end of times.
where he chose
Morgan-
like the order.
Like I stayed
Yeah,
till the end
George
of
won
season.
the award for choosing the order of night moves.
And that really helped in his favor.
Yeah.
And he won
Yeah.
FIC.
Honestly, I don't know if it's okay. I'm gonna make this comment. I don't know if Civ's gonna agree with me. George is me in season 2, but your allies don't get fucked.
Yeah, George is a season 2 Siren with actual control.
Like, because I had control, and then I got screwed at Final 8, and George got lucky at Final 8. Yay. I feel like it's time to talk about number 3, which may be controversial. Very
Number
controversial.
Number
I don't
3,
think
we
number
have.
3 is that controversial.
It's more so of their season 12 game, but I think
Yeah,
that this person does
that's
deserve
a big issue. But like,
top
I
3.
think that other games like really make up for it. So
I
So,
think the big thing
even that
about
they're pots
Max is.
twice.
Yeah. And the thing about Max is, and I mentioned this to Siren, I don't think I mentioned this to you, Angie, but Max is season 11 is the only game we've ever considered giving an S+ to. He's
not
the
the-
closest.
not the only game, and he's
Maybe
not
didn't
the
He's
do
the
closest.
that.
to getting an S+.
No, he's not. That's still Quinn, sadly. It's
I don't
technically
know.
still Quinn.
I'd personally give that to Max.
The only reason I say it's Quinn is because Quinn was 1 vote off and Max was winning the season off. But okay, this is a hot take though. I think Max has the best game in Survivor history, and I will stand on that hill despite him getting 5th place.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then Max, obviously, you have that insane move in season 11 where he takes full advantage of the twist and Louis getting a unanimous vote out by voting out Martel in the final 8, and which pretty much narrowly put a target on Martel's back, but it caused a massive rift between everyone else. And you saw it the following episode.
Yeah.
Max managed to get out of elimination by a 3-2 vote, which
and then
just proves how much chaos Max caused there.
And then, of course, we have, in my opinion, the most confusing Final 6 of Survivor history. What the fuck were they cooking?
Yeah, then they voted Noisy out over Max in the final 6, probably mainly due to Allie rallying for Max to stay, which obviously huge points for Max's social game.
It's insane because this man legitimately, in season 11, he does not have a single fucking fault. Like, his only fault is not winning the Final 5 comp, because there is a genuine argument that Allie would have gave this man fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. And, of course, I'm just gonna say this. I don't think Max has a bad game, and personally, I'm not gonna talk about Season 12 too much, because he could have won Season 12, which is insane to think about. He could have won.
Yeah, he
The
could have
funniest
won
thing-
given how much the jury loved him.
Yeah.
Okay.
The funniest thing about Max's game is that I love how, like, at the beginning of Max's career, we all talked shit about him voting out Ruste. Then we realized how based he was for voting out Ruste.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the thing is, I'm still
Oh my
gonna
god, I can't
stand.
believe he almost got out of that fire making over him. That was so nerve-wracking.
Legendary.
I'm still gonna stand by the fact that voting out Rusty was not a good move, but I will say this. And this is my genuine statement. And I'm gonna say it about Season 12. This man somehow convinced them to live over fantasy, which I thought was impossible. Like, I understand in hindsight that getting into fantasy is the good move, but I have to give props to Max making the final 3
They
there.
tried to do like fire making at Final Four, like a Max in Fantasy tried to do a plan for fire making.
Yeah, did you
Fail.
ever know about that, Siren? They tried to do a crazy org
no.
strat.
Oh god, okay. So I have to talk about this. I think this will come up more. That is something that came up at FTC, and it was actually
Yeah.
it was a very contentious topic because Evan and Moon had different stories about it, which led to a moment that people are not happy about in FTC, which we will talk about later. But
Mhm.
I feel like that Max has one good thing about him, which I feel like is underrated. Not only is he a strategic mastermind, he is a social mastermind. He's both. Like, realistically, Max could have easily gotten number 1 on this list, or number 2 on this list, or number 1 with like an A plus for season
Yeah.
12. I
Yeah.
don't know if Civ agrees. Like, of course,
I could see it.
number 1 has number 1 because they have the better average. But I say this not to be rude to the number 1. I think Max has a way better game in the number 1 in season 11. I think Max's season 11 game.
No, I agree.
Max's
Yeah.
season. Honestly, after this video, I may convince Civ to make it an S plus when we leave.
My
Because,
God. I don't think it changes much. I don't think it puts Max at
I
number
don't-
1.
I don't think it doesn't change anything about this list. I just think we have to do it at this point because we keep hyping that game up so much.
True.
It kind of
We do.
we do.
We
Max,
really do.
we love you. We'll find you in the desert eventually. Hopefully, we hope you're okay.
Yeah.
Please,
Hope you're okay in
please,
Africa, dude.
please tell us you're alive. We would really want to know.
Yeah.
This is not a joke. We
Despite our Africa jokes in Ponderosa.
Oh God, he's
Jesus.
really trying to get guys. He's still running after that cheetah.
He's looking for that idol, man.
He's still. But anyway, let's get to number 2, which may
Alright.
be
Number
shocking to
2.
people about X.
Number 2 is a very. I think number 2 for Noisy. Noisy, I think, has the best non-winning redemption game. Because look at it, you look at his season 7 game, it's not good. Like I won't say
fair.
it's bad. He gets
No.
dogged on hard for that season 7 game.
To be fair,
And he
And-
loses in chess.
to be fair, that was BHG's fault entirely.
That too.
It was not his fault. He did nothing other than be in the crossfire. But no, this is a weird one because like it's the same with George when it's like he's here because of season 11 mainly, and it's just like he's the most robbed of season 11. Let's get that out of the way. This man got extremely fucked for no reason. I think me and Civ both agree on that.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It could have been Max, but it's Noisy.
Nah, we gotta get rid of Noisy. Look at those eyes in that profile pic. He's a menace.
Noisy likes Hell's Kitchen season 21. Get him out of here.
Does he? What?
I don't
Does he
know.
actually?
I still did not. I still have not finished that season, but I know he
I
will.
hate it.
It's
I
quite
hate
obvious.
it.
I feel like the only thing I can truly dunk on for this man was approaching Moon about a Quinn vote at the wrong time. That's literally it.
Yeah. Noisy has. I think the thing with Noisy is that he doesn't have the best social game usually, but he has the closest connections usually. And you saw
Yeah.
it with season 11. He had George as like a very close ally to him. Bluey as well. He was pretty close with Bluey. Martel, he was pretty close to. And then you go to season 12, he's close with Max and George again, and Froggo. He was close to all these people, and he might not be close really close with like Siren or Quinn, but he makes up for that with having like these pretty much just having a bunch of number ones with him. And
To
I
be
think the only
fair,
reason he really gets eliminated at Final 11 is because George is gone, and this is kind of what starts like the villain crumbleization.
I will state this, by the way. If Noisy did not make the move that he did, I would have like actually tried to go after Peppers, and Noisy probably has a much better chance. Noisy's like one mistake was getting too aggro at the wrong person.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I feel like
But,
that's it. Let's get to number one. Let's do it. We all
although
know
there
who
is
number
one,
one is.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
we have at number one we have debatably the best player of Survivor history. We have the dumb blonde himself, Evan.
Dang it, we should have
Winner
done an eerier joke by saying it started with an E.
Brew. So we
Okay.
We really
have
should have.
Ah, god
the
damn it.
season
Anyway,
9 winner, Evan. He won by a 5-3 vote against Steven and Angie, and then the runner-up of Heroes versus Villains, where he lost a 7-5 vote against Moon. Evan has one of the best games I've seen in any org, really. The only problem I see with him is his FTCs. He like even in season 9, his FTC wasn't that good. Like he lost a lot of respect from like Echo and Morgan. What Morgan sucks. Morgan as a juror is a bit silly. So throw that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Echo, his Echo segment was not good. Um, but I think Evan. Other than that, Evan has a really great game. He has 2 amazing idle plays. One that's essentially supposed to cover his tracks and make him less of a target down the road, which happened. He didn't get a single vote after the Echo tribe. I don't think he got a single vote in the entire merge, did he?
Yeah, he didn't get a single vote at all. Even though he was
Yeah, he
like
didn't.
his name came up in season at
yeah,
Final 7, he didn't get a vote.
Yeah.
you know, this is what I state till the end of time. What were you all cooking at the final 4 of season 9? What were y'all cooking?
Blame Morgan. There was no.
It is no. I am not blaming
No.
Morgan. It is your fault.
Blame Morgan.
It is yours and Steven's fault. Get out of here. You would have been on this list if it wasn't for that, probably, honestly. You could have got it on the list. No. In all seriousness, I feel like with Evan is, and I state this with politeness, I think Evan's one main flaw at FTC is he sucks at reading what a jury wants. I don't know if Civ will agree with that or not.
I can see that, yeah.
Like, now I think he has an amazing social game where like he locks down votes no matter what. Like in season 9, I was a full Evan supporter. You know that. I was a full Evan
Yeah.
supporter, and I think he played an amazing game in season. I will say, I think he made a mistake in season 12. I think, as much as I do agree that he played an amazing game, I think he would have won season 12 with a better end game. Like I genuinely do.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, and I understand this is a little harsh to be saying, but I do think that this is a thing that needs to be pointed out that I don't think anyone has pointed out. All Evan had to do was let them vote out Moon, and he wins.
When? Wait, what tribal?
At Final Four. At Final Four.
Oh.
He has immunity. He can't go home. Take the winning shot and leave.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah.
I understand, like,
Although,
hey,
to be fair, this is kind of I think kind of an Evan thing, like,
No, like,
Steven had immunity at Final 4 in season 9, but
that's
Angie had
what
a much better game than Morgan in season 9 and
Well,
Angie
but
around
back
as
then,
well.
that was
Yeah, he
just
kept me
Evan.
around.
But the thing is back then, that was just Evan saving his ass. In season 12, it was
Yeah.
him genuinely fucking up.
I think that
Which,
the biggest quality about Evan's game, which is also like a slight downfall, is that he's so invested in the social game that he kind of
Yeah.
gets too invested in it to the point
oh
where
yeah, like,
he feels too
yeah,
connected to like his best friends like Angie or Moon or Peppers that it kind of just burns other people in the process.
like, I don't think this got, like, mentioned enough at the FTC. I did mention it. It feels weird to me to, and it's the same reason why I gave Evan over the win and Steven in season 9. It just feels weird to me why you don't take the obvious win. And I feel like that's kind of like, I guess, like, Evan's not, he's too nice. He's too nice, I said it. I can hear
I was
George
going
going,
into Final Four wanting to vote out Steven because I thought Steven had more respect from the jury than maybe Evan did. And I think Evan did kind of underrate his game. So, and
I mean, that's the thing.
yeah.
Like, let's not talk about the fact that this man, both of his seasons, misplayed idols on purpose. Granted, one of them was way better than the other.
What season did he when did he misplay his idol in season 12?
The Luke
Luke.
vote.
Luke vote, yeah. Oh god.
I think the season 9 one is way better. I think me and Civ will both agree.
No, I agree,
I think,
yeah.
I mean, given that his idol was like knowledge to Steven, yeah, he probably had to flush it anyway.
yeah, like, it's weird because, like, for me with Evan, is he's an amazing player. I just don't think he realizes why. Is that just me?
I think you might be right on that. He does kind of underrate his game a
Like,
bit.
Yeah,
'cause,
he
like,
said he thinks his season 12 game is better than his season 9 game, but I think, yeah, it's probably the other way around.
no, it's the
Or,
other
I
way
think his
around.
I think his
It's
season
the other way.
9 game is the thing that makes Evan's season 9 game better in my opinion is how much like natural charisma this dude had in season 9 was like a
I don't.
ridiculous extent because he had because keep in mind you guys weren't there, you guys were on the Shimada tribe or whatever, he was on whatever other tribe, Goto
yeah,
or whatever.
Gertrude would
Evan
like
Evan
survive apparently.
wait, Goto was DB's tribe, I think. Anyways,
No, he was Tamura.
Evan oh yeah, Tamara. But
Yeah.
Evan had like people just eating out of the. Evan had Alan, Sierra, Skylar, and Toast just like eating out of the palm of his hand.
And,
He
like, to
was.
be fair, yeah, like, even when I met him, he gained much of my respect. To be fair, he was up against Silver for my respect.
True.
It's
I didn't
not a
meet him so
hard
much.
bar,
But,
but, like, he did
yeah.
earn it. Like, it's just, it's weird to me. It, I think he's an amazing player. I would love to see him back for another season, although I sadly don't know if that would happen again. Because I understand that season 12 was a horrible experience. From one person to another that feels like they got extremely fucked as a winner making it to FTC again. I do sympathize with that. To an extent, because I still think I was way more fucked than Evan.
I mean, you were kind of like
Evan,
rigged to lose, so.
I was rigged to lose, and
given
it
the
was
people who voted fantasy.
I was rigged to lose no matter what. Evan, is it weird to say that Evan kind of messed up at the end, his own winning game? Is it rude
I
to
mean,
say?
I feel like best logic dictates you'd vote Moon out just out of your like how you see Moon's game
Well,
and Fantasy's game, but
I mean, I also literally did say to the guy that I respected Moon more than him So like he had warning signs. I think multiple
I do
players
think
did.
that. But yeah, I do think that overall Evan does have the best game of Era 2 and probably of the entire Survivor
Does it?
seasons.
I don't know if it's the best game of Era 2. It's argument between Evan and Max.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like whether or not he has
The
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 best
best
overall
winning game. He has the best
Like
winning
like
game. Yeah,
objectively or
best winning
he
game.
has the best like career game. The best like out of everything.
Yeah, no,
But
he has
yeah,
the best.
Evan has a lot of great qualities. His social game's amazing. His idol, the giving Peppers his idol to idol out George, which kept the target off of his back for a while. And he just played a really great social game.
Yeah. No, he's a good player. But let this be a lesson to everyone. Eliminate the biggest threat. Please. When you're at Final Four and you
I
have
need good FTCs.
yeah, we've brought like a great FTC season 9. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if
listen to
like
me. Listen to
even me, Morgan, and one would stack up,
listen to me.
honestly.
You need to be like Siren in season 2 and season 5. Fuck the entertainment, win.
You mean that? You mean how El the jury didn't like you? Yeah.
The jury did not like me in season 2 either. We don't talk about that though.
It was so funny. They were like, we all hate House so much, but we also don't like you.
It's like everyone. It felt like the entire jury was pissed off that I voted off Puggy. They're like, "How dare you?" And I was like, "You gonna vote how?"
And they didn't.
I mean, 2 of them did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Silver's a weirdo, and Puggy was always gonna vote House. So,
anyways, this is the Air 2 Top 10 Player Podcast. If you guys really want us to do the top 10 of all time, spam Civ about it. Because we actually don't
hit that subscribe button, hit that bell.
Just to see.
I'll try to.
I don't know if we would want to do that. If we did that, I'd honestly want to do the top 20 instead of the top 10.
If we're doing like overall,
yeah,
like,
I mean, given that we've like 12 seasons in and we got like a bunch of people,
Like,
yeah, probably top 20.
I don't even know if I make that list, to be honest. I don't think I make that list.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
We are gonna do the best top 10 games overall later, though, guys. You don't have to pester him about that. We're also
Although
gonna
you can if you want. I'm needy for attention.
And we may do. I think I discussed this with you. So the top 10 was it idle plays or just advantage plays?
Idle plays.
Yeah, we'll do top 10 idle plays and all that. So
oh god.
Yeah. Angie, I'm sorry, we gotta bring you back specifically for one section of that. Well, 2 actually, I think.
It's really, I think Accura's is better than
Ben. Look, we gotta make you suffer twice. You don't get a break.
So,
top 10 most entertaining players. Let's do it.
Angie lost to Uli, 2 idols, and white supremacy.
So if we ever did the top 10 entertaining players, number 1, Harrison. I die on this hill, fight me. You won't get me
I think
off
it's
that
a good time to close off this video. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you chat next time.